America, you're about to witness 3 total strangers.
A musician, an artist, and a business professional.
We brought them together to talk about a really hard subject that they had no clue what it was before they got here.
All in the hopes that we can teach you, America, that we can discuss the most controversial topics.
Without being jerks to each other. Imagine that. So stick around, watch the fireworks, because we're about to go live. Welcome to the Art of Dispute. Home with a no lawsuit.
You can't come back from it,
Because we're such good people.
That's it.
The only show where you can be friended and offended all in the same hour. You're like tuning in, everything's cool. You're like, yeah, I'm digging this show, man. Yeah. What did that little bald-headed guy say? You were like, no, he's an idiot. I hate everything they just said. I think I'll keep watching. That's our experience here on the show. It happens. It's the huge. Yes. You know, you guys, we have a problem in America. Y'all have all experienced it. We lovingly refer to it as the zero to Nazi effect.
Very lovingly.
Yeah. We've copyrighted the phrase. You can't say it. Except in New Zealand. They do their own thing. And it's legal. So. Everybody off camera is shaking their head. They're like, he's just making up crap. Yeah, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. You post something on social media, you make a comment, whatever in the feed, and it blows up. I mean, people frickin' lose their mind. The trolls come out, the flame wars are underway, and that's the zero to Nazi effect. It's when you say something, you're trying to have a good dialogue, and it's a length of time it takes to go from 0 to you're a Nazi. I am going to go outside, flip your car over, set it on fire, slap your cat, and yes, I said I was going to do it on last show. The poor dog has gotten the heat for like weeks, so I'm flipping to the cat now. The cat is the subject of all my animosity.
Most of the time we get it. Sometimes
We get flag.
Yeah, we get it. We get the flag for the panel not being diverse enough for the topic at hand. And what I say is the viewpoints are diverse on our panels, and if they're not, the viewpoint's not expressed during the show, what I'd like you to do is drop your viewpoint in the comment section below, or head over to our group page and leave it there, because we all want to hear it.
Absolutely. I mean, today, I promise you,
There's
going to be someone going, I can't believe they talked about this subject without a representative of our community on the show.
It happens.
It happens. Deal with it, people. If your opinion wasn't represented on the show, jump into the group and drop it.
Absolutely.
Yes. So what we're talking about today is a pretty heavy-duty topic. It's been in the news, it's been in the media, there was a lot of press about it. I don't want to totally go just to Megan Rapinoe, the U.S. soccer team, and that situation. She brought it to the forefront. But we're going to be talking about today, if you represent the United States, if that's your jam, if you're putting on a uniform, you're representing an office while you're abroad, should that be a call to respect the flag while you're overseas? Should that be something we expect as an American population, as voters, etc., taxpayers, whatnot? That's what we're going to be discussing. But before we go there, shameless plugs. First up, Samantha Lee Bridwell. Samantha Lee and the Family Tree.
Yep.
I like it. That's got a cool ring to it. It's good. They can find you at Samantha Lee and the Family Tree.com.
Do it.
And all of the social media places, same. One funny thing about Miss Samantha Lee here that most people don't know, I love speaking in different accents when I meet new people.
I do.
Example, answering the phone at work when I would wait tables and out at a show with friends. She just randomly starts speaking.
So when I see you next time.
It depends. Like when I would answer the phone, I have family in Minnesota. So, oh, hello, how are you doing today? You know, Patsy's Cowgirl Cafe, located in Austin, Texas. I'm like, where are you from? Or if I drink a little too much, I have an alter ego named Tatiana, who's Russian and quite possibly could be a sleeper agent. So there's little things. I had to send out messages asking my friends what I should put for my about me, and that's pretty much more like 75-80% said talk about Tatiana. So
Tatiana.
yeah.
That's freaking great.
Maybe I'll meet her one day.
You have to catch me when I'm drinking again.
Saul! Better call Saul. Saul Carrillo. Your artist name, business name, artist name. Vila?
Villa.
Vila. All right. And your website, Vylla.com. Vylla.com. Agents / Saul Carrillo. Right on. One funny thing about Mr. Saul that most people don't know. I once got a job as a data entry clerk, and I can't type.
One of those fake it till you make it situations.
Oh, it's freaking great. No, I'm really good. Trust me. We're just warming up. I got finger exercises.
That's great. How long did that last?
Surprisingly, for a really here's the funny thing. So I got the job because I was in Edinburgh, Texas, a really small place, and there was nothing available. I was home from the service. I was looking for a place. I was desperate. It was like 3 weeks in, couldn't find anything. Walked in and they said, "Can you do data entry?" And I said, "Yeah, I can do data entry." So I convinced them to let me come in early. I would show up 4 hours before my shift and start. And I'd still put out like a third of the work that everybody. And about 2 months into it, the boss calls me into the office and says, "Hey, we have cameras,
We
right?"
noticed something.
Well, he's like, we have cameras, right? And I'm like, "Oh, no, I did." He's like, you coming in 4 hours early, that's not going to work. We can't have you working off the clock. So he promoted me and put me over the collections department where everything was like one key and it put the whole sentence and I didn't have to worry about it. So
Sweet.
worked out.
Nice.
Right on.
And thus I became the managerial trainer.
That's a great
Yes.
story. I'm sorry.
Make it till you make it.
That's
Baby.
it.
That's
You
right.
made it though. That was awesome.
That's a great story. All right. Up next, the one and only Sydney Smith. Sydney Smith, artist name. Sydney, you go by the same. Sydney Smith.
Sydney V. Smith.
Sydney V with the V. The V is important.
Distinguishes me from the other.
All
Sydney
the
Smiths.
myriads of other. Yes. Instagram.com, Sydney V. Smith. It's very important. We'll have it on the page right there. Facebook, you can find her the same. One funny thing about Sydney, she said, I had an obsession with long necks and spent several years trying to stretch it, which earned me the title of the Giraffe Woman. You actually got into the whole the African, the Kenyan thing with the stretching the neck and all the whole shebang.
Yes, and when word got out, it just went viral, and
Wow.
everybody.
You were published in Israel and
Everywhere.
Russia and all over the place.
It just they named me the Giraffe Woman.
Giraffe
I
Girl.
didn't even call myself that.
Yeah.
But I went with it. At first, I was.
Why not?
I remember I was a little
Marketing.
upset at first because I was on one of these talk shows. I think it was Steve Harvey. He called me the Giraffe Woman, and I was upset because I'm like, oh, he didn't even say Sydney V. Smith. How are people gonna know where to look for me?
Right.
And.
Google.
Finally, actually, it just stuck, and I
Embrace it and roll with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really cool. All right, so guys, we're gonna dive in. It's a pretty heavy-duty topic, right? You got the First Amendment, freedom of expression, freedom of speech. We got U.S. sports teams, U.S. representatives, people who don the title of representing the United States. Is there a line? Do we say, I mean, like, you know, literally, I think one of the greatest things about America that is so unappreciated, yet we recognize just almost innately the value of freedom of speech. The freedom to speak out against our government. All that stuff. I mean, it's powerful. Where do you stand on that? Should somebody be required to respect the flag? Should there be like guidelines or rules or something for the people who represent the United States when they're abroad? Ooh, that was a good question. I wonder what they're gonna say. Let's stick around and find out. We'll be right back. Where do you stand on that? Should somebody be required to respect the flag? Should there be like guidelines or rules or something for the people who represent the United States when they're abroad?
Am I going first?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll go first.
Tatiana?
Tatiana comes out.
Yes, she's from Russia, so cut us some slack.
Man, my family, my mother was in the Army, so I'm in there with, thank you for your service, by the way. The American flag, I guess it's, the best part about America is that we have a freedom to express how we want to. And going overseas at a sporting event or going over there, it's really on who you are. And that's the kind of the blessing of it. This is a hard topic. It really is. I feel neutral on it. Me personally, going over there, if I had the American flag, I would respect it because I have that respect for it, along with so many other Americans. And there are the people that go over there and might not have the same view of it. I'm in the situational. It's so hard to get it out. Maybe we might want to circle back.
No offense.
Yeah. So,
She'll take a mulligan. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's an implied social contract that we're expected to represent. And now just because it's expected that we should and we could doesn't mean that we will. I think it's conditional upon the person that is experiencing that moment in time on what it is they decide to do. It's something that we have the right to do. We have people that defend it on a regular basis, but it's still a right that we've fought and bled for so that you can choose to do what you do at that moment. Not because I feel differently, I don't get to impose my will on what you're doing. That's why it's called free speech. That's why you have free will to do those things that you do.
I think my position is I don't believe in mixing your personal beliefs, political, with sportsmanship. When you are out there playing sports, that's what you're supposed to do. And I think it's inappropriate to protest. Do that on your own time. It's not cool to go overseas and then be like, F America, by the way, and then, represent the flag. I find it very disrespectful. I would have no tolerance for that if I was a sport team owner.
All right, yeah.
So let me ask you.
Tolerance as well.
Do what?
I would have low tolerance with it as well. Yeah, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm honestly, I'm very torn on the subject. I really am. For example, I very much supported, much to the shock and disagreement with like 90% of my friends, Colin Kaepernick when he first started out taking a knee. I don't necessarily agree with him and what he has to say, but I very much agreed with his peaceful protest. My thing is that I love the First Amendment, like with all my heart. The idea that we get to speak out separates us from so many countries and so much history. Yet at the same time, I love the flag. Like, a lot. Accused of worshiping the flag. I'm like, I don't freaking worship the flag, right? I believe that our right to express our opinion without losing our lives is something that we should all have. It's a sacred right. Yeah. And so why does that right stop when we enter another country? Yet at the same time, to the point you made, I'm like, there's an expected, holy cow, like, I can talk bad about my family every day of the week. You talk bad about my family, we're going to fight.
Exactly.
All right? Kind of the same thing. Right? While you're here in the States, gripe about the States all you want. Go abroad and use your platform to disrespect the flag, speak ill of the country, it just rubs wrong. And so, should we have some guidelines, some standards, like if you put on the USA team shirt, if you hold...
It's funny you use that. Sorry. It's funny you use that.
Yeah, right.
Because that in itself is disrespectful of the American flag.
It could be.
It is
not
per
necessarily.
Code, per flag code it is.
Well,
Should talk to Old Navy about
you
that.
can wear a representation of the flag. Wearing the flag itself is. I did a lot of study on that.
Yeah, really.
Yes. Yeah. So you can wear a representation of the flag, and that is patriotic. You cannot wear the flag itself as an article of clothing.
Not the literal flag.
Right. Not the literal flag. Right?
Okay.
So, is that like? Should we have some expected standard? Like you said, there's an expected standard, right?
For most
like
things.
if we're paying for you to be abroad, or like the USA soccer team, to their credit, they're a private entity. It's not a taxpayer-funded thing. That would be a line for me. Yet they're a 501c3. They're a nonprofit. Like a church is a nonprofit. Churches don't get to talk about politics. They don't get to say who they're voting for and who they're not voting for. So if you're a 501c and you're abroad, is your 501c3 at threat if you make a political statement? Should it be at threat? Where do you guys stand on that? And we'll answer that when we come back from break.
Do you have a sick roof? Well, DR Roofing Services can help. We will examine your roof, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a solution. Does your home need a facelift? DR Roofing Services offers a variety of general contracting services to get your home happy and healthy again. Honest, reliable, and trustworthy. DR Roofing Services. We make house calls.
The Art of Dispute and all other artists recorded by Maddox Studios. By artists, for artists.
Welcome back to the Art of Dispute. My set director is not happy with me.
That's why we hired her.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
That's why she volunteered. Sorry.
Keeping us on task. Yes. So, look, we're having a great discussion. The whole concept of the First Amendment kind of clashing with freedom of speech abroad. Megan Rapinoe, I don't want to totally make the conversation about her, but that's what kind of initiated it. Incident with the flag, her and her teammate, and some just kind of behavior in handling the flag that definitely wasn't up to code, so to speak, as far as being an American, how we treat the flag. But just kind of as a broad question, right, before the break, I said, is your 501c3 at threat of loss? Like churches, that sort of thing. You're not allowed politically to say we're voting for, we're not voting for, etc. That's a violation, right? You're kind of reined in with a 501c3, right? Does that play out the same way overseas? Do we have an expectation? I know you had indicated that there's an assumed expectation, but should it be more defined?
Should it be like a requirement?
Yeah, right.
I feel like it should be a personal obligation as an American to want to go over to other countries and be
my
like,
friend, right?
and to be like, I am an American and I'm proud of where I'm from, and to go to other places. And a lot of people don't have very high views of Americans in other countries, and for us to go to another country and to be like, I do support where I'm from, and I do love I do love the USA. And is it a requirement for you to have to go and do that? No, but should it be a personal obligation? I believe it. Yes, to the sense, if you were in a position of power, of people looking at you, if you were, say, a musician that is going over to play a huge venue overseas. Thank you for having me in this country. It shouldn't be every 5 seconds have the American flag blasting behind you while you're in Italy. That's not why they're there to see you, is because of that. But if you choose to bring an American flag on stage, you should honor it, and that's on you. That's your self-obligation. But as a requirement, I don't believe it should be a requirement.
If you go over there as let's say, a soccer player, granted you're playing a sport, but you're going over there as it's your job. If your job mandates, and I'll give you a real stupid simple one. I worked at a hospital for a really long time. I have to wear long sleeve shirts because I have tattoos on my arms. Now, tattoos are my way of expressing myself, and it's something that I chose very diligently on what I wanted to do. However, my job requires that I cover those up. So if you're there as an employee doing your job, and it's a requirement that you show respect for the job that brought you, then yeah, there should be consequences. They should be able to do those things. But if it's not mandated by any structured form, it's really left up to you. It becomes a thing of free will, what you decide to do. Now, that you lack the moral compass to really look at things and say, hey, I'm here as a guest and a representative of my country, that's really on you as an individual. I don't think we can mandate that the person treat the flag, treat the country, treat us as a whole any better than he's willing to treat himself. I think it's a failing in that person, not necessarily that they misrepresent us. It's just that they represent themselves to a degree that we wouldn't, because I'm proud of where I come from. We're a very diverse culture. We have everything that you could ever want, every opportunity. If you choose to crap on that, that's on you. That's not on us. And to
Good.
hold one person up for that is wrong.
To your point, I kind of feel like the flag represents the population and not so much the government. So you can protest the government without using the flag. That's kind of where I'm at in that personal respect. But if we're not going to have requirements, you can get fired for disrespecting the flag on something like social media, right? You think
People have.
fire?
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I'm sure it's happened. So do you think that there should be a way? Because with the requirement, we would be able to say, well, you can't do that. They're on their personal time.
Well, if it's mandated at your work, for instance, getting back to the
Right.
whole sleeve things, if I show up to work with a T-shirt and I get told, hey, you need to cover up your tattoos because that's part of the company policy, 3 infractions of that, and guess what? I get written out of the system, I get fired. But that's on me because I went against the actual rules that were set in place that had nothing to do. That had nothing to do with any of that stuff. So in that particular instance, it has to do with the rules of the place that you're at. If you left it up to me, of course I'm going to show up short sleeves and not because it's hot. We live in Texas. I mean, come on. But that's what I'm getting at. There's a certain, if it's not
Are they restricting
mandated,
your free speech at that point, though?
you give up certain rights when you go to work somewhere because you agree as part of the social contract and the written contract that I am going to abide by the rules that you have set up in that corporation. So in essence, you are
When you do
giving
sign
up.
the front page
you,
of that
you
booklet.
gave up part of your rights to be able to work in the environment that I chose to set up in such a way. So by doing that, you lose that particular privilege that you've given up. Now, do you lose your free rights on a whole? No. Once you step out of your 9 to 5 and you're on your own time, if you want to run around and wear a flag and do all kinds of crazy things, that's on you.
Should
But
we
by
put that
same
in
token-
writing, though? I mean, should we be able to protect that? Because if I leave now, I'm a paramedic, right? If I go and I burn the flag and I say some hateful things and I post it to social media and my company sees that and they fire me, I mean, I was on my personal time. I didn't disrupt my workflow. I didn't break any of their rules while I was under their rules, So by not putting that into effect, we're effectively saying, they control my personal life as well as my business life. I mean, I kind of would like the freedom to say whatever I want and not get fired while I'm out protesting the government, so I can still go home and feed my family.
I kind of feel like, as an audience member, when I go to an event, a sport event or a concert, the last thing that I want to hear is the main attraction displaying their political views. It is off-putting to me. I feel at a sport event, your job is to perform a sport. It's not your job to show these little peaceful protests. There's no room for that there. People, they want to escape from their normal lives for entertainment reasons. And it's supposed to bring us all together. You're supposed to leave that aside. Not divide, not these divisions with any sort of protesting.
Well, that's the best part about free speech, though, is they have the right that they can do that, unless it is literally written in their contract as a musician or a sports player, like, you are not going to express your political views. That's, and like, as in Kaepernick, the peaceful protest, that was his way of showing, like, I have eyes on me. This is a moment for me to show people that I do not agree with them or agree with certain things, and I'm going to just peacefully take my knee and do this. And I'm not saying it's the right decision that he did that, but he didn't take to going like way out or really being hateful about it, you know.
And he can do that if he wants, but ever since that happened, I haven't watched a single football game. I boycotted.
And there's a lot of people.
And Madonna is having a hard time selling out her concerts now for being so vocal. So there are consequences to people's actions. I think it's better to leave it aside and And I mean, remember when going to watching football games, it brought us all together, and it was exciting, and it's bringing the politics into it really is off-putting.
Well, if you
I cannot, me myself, I can't enjoy it anymore.
Well, if you think back to like the Beatles and John Lennon, and there are so many musicians who have come forward about how they feel about politics and helping kind of some of music can create a revolution and awaken people, and it's an outlet, it's an art, it's and a lot of people's art comes off of how they feel about their government and what's going on in the world and what makes them upset. It's their way to get that out.
And Bob Marley too, but the way he did it, I loved it, and I was able to. I love his music, but just when you show disrespect or imply disrespect to the flag, it is going to be off-putting to a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
There's a certain aspect to all of your point where I'm going to say, like, the flag represents certain concepts, right? The flag represents the amendments. And so if we burn the flag, we have the freedom to do so. But aren't we, through that process, actually disrespecting that which the flag represents? The very freedom you're expressing is expressed in the image of the flag. And so if you're burning the flag, isn't it like saying, F you to the thing that you're expressing, the freedom that you have?
Yeah.
Isn't that the point of burning it?
Yeah.
I mean,
not every time. There are probably plenty of times it's been burned not for that reason. Yeah, but
what do y'all think about that? I mean, like, is there a contradiction? In other words, like, in expressing my freedom to burn the flag, am I not almost contradicting the amendment that gives me the freedom? I'm like, the very symbol that it says I have this freedom, I'm intentionally disrespecting.
Yeah, you're burning that freedom.
But that's just more of a, hey, I got something to say. I mean,
like, in other
to
words,
me, it's like, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. Like, it's
to his point,
right?
To his, yeah, right. To his point, is it not saying I want attention to express my discontent, or is it literally undermining your attempt to say I have something that I want to express that I have discontent over? You know what I'm saying?
What if the difference is the flag is supposed to be an inclusionary thing that brings us all together, and how we view it is really representative of how the media tells us to view that event? How's that for a difference?
I like that.
I mean, if you see somebody who's protesting peacefully and using the flag, oh look, what a wonderful thing he's doing. See somebody who burns the flag, oh look, what a despicable human being he is. And it doesn't really matter. You can interchange them either way. It just depends on how they spin it.
What if they just showed wide angles of that kneel?
Well, I mean, there's part of it. Part of it is the social commentary is driven in great part by what the media tells you to believe. What you choose to take out of it is what they go with, because they never want to represent something that's good and pure and honest and wonderful. Where they say, "Hey, look, this veteran came home and he did this, this, and this, and this." It's, oh, this veteran came home after he destroyed and killed all these people. There's never a good spin to it. It's which is going to give me the most clicks.
Drama.
Who's going to give me? Well, it's all about the drama.
We use clickbait. Not even a lot.
Yeah.
But we're trying to fix it. Clickbait to fix the clickbait.
To watch the fix. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so what do you guys think? To that point, are we really undermining the freedom? Or are we really celebrating the freedom? If we're abroad in a foreign country and we're disrespecting the flag, right? And you know, look, with the Megan Rapinoe thing, it can certainly be argued that what happened there with that situation was accidental, right? I've debated this out extensively with friends, right? And I'm like, look, I grew up to a point of, there's never been a point in my life, I was a Boy Scout, all this stuff, you hand me a flag, I'm going to be situationally aware always.
Yep.
There's never a point that you hand me a flag that I'm going to walk around dragging it on the ground. It's just impossible to my nature, because that was the way I was raised, to always respect the flag, right? Yet, having said that, I can certainly see where not having that upbringing, that raise, whatever, in the heat of the moment, they just won the world championship. It wasn't intentional. There was no intentional disrespect to the flag, right?
Question, which would be worse? Burning the flag or wiping your butt with it?
Oh, wow.
Ooh, that was a good question. I wonder what they're going to say. Let's stick around and find out. We'll be right back. I did would be like the same to me.
Yeah.
Is there flushing involved? That's right.
But both of those are intentional, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with this situation, it was I would say unintentional for the most part. It was being situationally unaware, right? Yet you combine that with an individual who's been very outspoken against the United States, and that complicates the situation.
How do the media spin it?
Right. How do the
Well,
how do the
because
media spin
you've
it?
been
I like it.
conditioned
Yeah.
to view that as a negative instead of just approaching it. If you look at it, like you said, objectively and just kind of say, okay, just on the basis of what I see, does it look or appear that she actually intentionally did it? No. But once the media, once the conditions started piling on it, now that person has now a platform that she's been handed and said, here, what are you going to do with it?
Yep.
That she chose to go the route she went was, because we made the mistake of handing her. You gave her the sharp pointed object, and now you're complaining that you're getting stabbed with it.
Yeah. If no one would have made a big deal about it, it probably wouldn't even be a thing.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. In that sense, if the person takes the platform, are we celebrating the First Amendment? Or are we undermining it?
I would think you're celebrating it, man.
Yeah, same, because they're having the right to say whatever they want. Not whatever they want, but they have the right to say and give their opinion and how,
But I view them as an employee, right? So if they're allowed to do that, then can I go to work and disrespect the flag and not expect to be fired or offend anyone?
Well, then, I'm sure if it was written into their contracts, it would be a whole different ballgame.
Those contracts are getting longer every year.
Yeah, exactly.
And should it be?
Adding on,
And
should it be in the contract?
And
yeah.
should it be? If you're putting on the shirt that says Team USA, should that be in the contract? You're abroad. You're representing all Americans. I don't give a crap what your opinion is.
Yeah.
You're representing all of America, and all of America doesn't have your opinion. Should that be in the contract?
That's
I think it should be.
Closing thoughts.
Yeah, I think it should be. I think it, what your beliefs, you're protesting, do that on your personal time, not when we are paying and sending you out to represent us.
Closing thoughts. Saul.
Yeah, sir. Go ahead.
If you are placed in a situation where you have to choose between representing yourself and representing your country, it's a hard choice. I, conditioned
said.
as I am, would pick my country because there's a lot more people that are depending on that than just my single voice alone.
That's really good.
Yeah. Follow that.
Man,
Be brilliant and go.
that's a lot of pressure. Man, do I think it should be in a contract? No, as our rights as Americans and of freedom of free streets, free the streets, free speech. That no, we shouldn't. I mean, I can see also where you're coming from. It's being, you were representing the U.S. You were going and be like, yeah, we're USA, and I can understand that too. I guess I'm kind of right in the middle, depending on the situation. Now, if they run out and they throw it on the ground and they start jumping up on top of it, that's a whole other different thing. But like having someone hand you an American flag and it drops out of your, pocket when people are like bombarding you, and that's also being aware that you have it.
Yeah, situationally aware.
Exactly, and it can just be a lot in your. Yeah.
I had the debate. I'm like,
Depends how
there's
many-
no point.
how
I
many
don't
times
care
you get
what's
handed
going
something
on.
Yeah.
throughout the
Handed
day,
me the
right?
flag.
Oh, you've got 10 flags in your hand. What are
Right,
you doing?
If the
before you know it.
flag is handed to me, it becomes priority
Exactly.
over everything else. I don't need to ham it up for the cameras. I've got the flag.
Best thing you do,
Right.
fold it, hand it to
Right.
somebody, hand it
Right.
to
No, don't take
who's
it.
ever on your side.
Right.
I don't know what to do.
I'm about to ham it up. I was like, no.
But what if someone was like, oh, I was distracted. What if they really played dumb and said, I really didn't mean
And I
to
get
let
it.
it.
Yeah,
It was an
that's-
I get it.
accident.
Yeah.
I swear.
That's the argument presented.
Yeah.
It's tough. We're not going to solve it here today on the show.
Man, I was hoping we were.
Yeah,
One
I
time
know.
we solved that one issue.
That and like world hunger is up next. We were about to knock that out.
I'm ready.
I was trying, but you guys were slowing me down.
It's no other case.
Another fun show. We're about to have, I think, some
Killer
crazy music
Yeah,
performance. So, what are you about to play for us? And where can we find it? Take it away.
I'm Samantha Lee, and this is Ronnie B, and we're a part of Samantha Lee and the Family Tree. And the song is called Livid, and you can find all of our info at SamanthaLeeandTheFamilyTree.com. I'm tired, I'm words and I know it. You try not to show it, look in your eyes. All those damn lies. Hey. Yeah, I'm fed up, I've had it, don't be so dramatic. Stop fooling and losing the game you've chosen. I'm spit your head, no sense to get mad, I'm leaving so long. All this is wrong, I've tried to explain. Time and again, I'm fragile, I'm broken. My heart was your token. I'm fragile, I'm broken, you promised to change. You promised to change. I'm trying to fake it, I'm falling, you're joking. Well, look in my eyes. I know it's all lies. You're bluffing, I'm folding, y'all, and I'm holding. Hey, she's the only playing the game you've chosen. Mars black and blue, just trying to get through this hill that I'm in. No longer my friend, holding me down so low to the ground. I'm fragile, I'm broken. My heart was your token. I'm fragile, I'm broken. You promised to change. You promised to change. You promised to change. Hey. You promise it, 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 you promise it. Change. All the lies, all the lies, all the lies that you told, all the lies, all the lies, all the lies that you told, all the lies, all the lies, all the lies that you told, all the lies, all the lies, all the lies that you told, all the lies, all the lies, all the lies that you told, all the lies, all the lies, all the lies that you told, all the lies, all the lies, all the lies that you told, all the lies, all the lies, all the lies that you told. I'm spinning your head, no sense in bed, I'm leaving so long. All this is wrong, I'm trying to explain time and again. I'm fragile, I'm broken. My heart was your token. I'm fragile, I'm broken. You promised to change. You promised to change.
Yeah!
Ow, y'all.
Right on. What was that song called?
Livid.
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 Livid. Yes. Where can they find it?
Samantha Lee and thefamilytree.com.
Bam.
Right on. Excellent. Killer tune. Loved it. Loved it.
Thank you.
Find on YouTube.
Another great show. Fantastic discussion. You guys that want to tune in for sure. Awesome job. We'll be back next week. See you guys then.
How am I bad at clapping right now?